All right, here's the second video I'm going to be doing today on this Roger Jackson stuff, and this time it's going to be regarding Sean Strickland and Phillip Morris, or Phillip Rowe. I apologize, I got your name wrong, brother. But like I said in my prior video, I'm very familiar with Sean Strickland and Chael Sonnen. Phillip Rowe, I only saw a couple of your fights and your match with Gordon Ryan, and mostly I was looking at it because of Gordon Ryan. But I digress on that. Anyways, both Sean Strickland and Phillip Rowe came out with some takes that I wanted to go ahead and comment on. First, we're going to start with Sean Strickland. Right here, I'm reading this article here from Talk Sport. It says, a last resort, Sean Strickland explains why Roger Jackson shouldn't face prison sentence after disturbing incident. And this is by Ben Davies, boxing and MMA editor over there. And I'm just going to go right down to what Sean Strickland said. He had an interaction with a fan on social media, and this is what he had to say. Jackson's kids shouldn't go to jail. Prison should always be a last resort. I was arrested at 19 for 2 felony AGBIs. GBI stands for great bodily injuries. I would have spent 5 to 6 years in prison if the DA had its way. After 6 years in a cell coming out with nothing, being indoctrinated with gangs and violence, I guarantee I would have killed someone. There was one guy telling me about how he picked up a murder charge, and I remembered being impressed by him. That would have been my future. Instead, I pled and took 100 days jail or work release, a ton of anger management, and a decent amount of victim restitution. He continues, after a miserable 2 years of court, luckily a lawyer took my case for free because I didn't have a dollar to my name. Bottom line is, it's not about the person in prison. It's about who they become when they're out of prison. And I believe if I wasn't offered that deal, I would have been dead today. More than likely would have resulted in someone else's death as well. My 2 cents, rehabilitation over prison always. In my case, I was sued and had to pay victim restitution. What people don't understand, by not trying to rehabilitate these people, you are making many more victims in the future. Just a little bit of approach on this. Prison originally was supposed to be a real rehabilitation for prisoners. It wasn't just supposed to be straight prison or anything like that, but somewhere down in our history, the rehabilitation went out the window and it was just a straight place where we would just started locking people up. So in that regard, I do agree with at least that part. I agree with rehabilitation, but we always should put the onus on the convicted to rehabilitate themselves and be receptive to rehabilitation, not on society as a responsibility to try to rehabilitate. No, that's not how that works. And just going back to what he said with regard to all of this. Now, there has to be some type of serious punishment that with regards to what Roger Jackson did, because that warrants that type. The beatdown that he gave to Psycho Stu warrants a very harsh punishment. Now, does it require 5 to 6 years in prison? I'm not going to say that. We will leave that up to the court of law and whether or not he gets convicted. But we'd also notice right here, he was 19 years old. He was still just 1 year out of high school, Sean Strickland was. Roger Jackson is a grown-ass man. He's 25 years old. He should have the wherewithal and the judgment to know that he is delivering a beatdown on a man who was an untrained fighter. That's going to always be an important aspect of all this. Roger Jackson is a trained fighter. I don't know if at the time Sean Strickland was fighting or got those 2 felony AGBIs, if he was a trained fighter then. I think he was a wrestler at least in high school, but as a trained fighter, no, not really, and everything like that. So I don't think that was the case. That's different here with Roger Jackson. Roger is, again, he's 25 years old. He is a trained MMA fighter. He did have at least 1 MMA fight in the league. And then on top of that, his daddy is also a trained fighter. So who would be able to give him this knowledge if he was being a good parent, a good father, to tell him, hey, you can't engage in this type of behavior. So there was one thing that Sean Strickland actually really got, that actually impressed upon him. One man in his life that actually said, hey, you need to change where you're going, because if you don't, you're going to be like me. And that's this quote right here. There was one guy telling me about how he picked up a murder charge, and I remembered being impressed by him. That would have been my future. That guy, whether he actually was doing him a favor at the time or just telling him about a story about what happened to him, that was enough to make Sean Strickland change his behavior right there in that minute. I don't want to go to jail for potentially and become a murderer and come out a murderer. So I better change myself right now. I better take this plea deal, and I better just do my 100 days in jail and work release. So he had someone off in his life that actually impressed upon him. But again, he was 19 years old when he caught those 2 felonies. That's a different situation right here with a grown ass man who is making a monumental decision that will impact him and his victim for the rest of their lives. There has to be some type of punishment meted against Roger Jackson. You just can't get around that. I know some people probably try to take Sean Strickland to task for this, but I appreciate the fact that he actually came out and tried to give a different perspective with regards to punishment, because a lot of times we should want a second or third chance for maybe third chance is too much. A second chance, just a second chance for young individuals who had caught a case, and we don't want their lives to be permanently damaged by that case that they caught, unless it is an egregious one like murder or rape or kid diddling, anything like that. We probably want to treat those a little more harshly, but we don't, for the most part, we want to try to give teens a chance before it's too late. That's not the case here with Roger Jackson. Roger Jackson made a conscious decision to do what he did. It's all on video. It's premeditated. I looked at a really good analysis, a legal analysis from I think it's Jimmy Smith MMA, where Jimmy Smith MMA. I don't want to look it up right now on my phone or anything. And this attorney was giving a really good potential way that Roger Jackson could potentially get out of this. And I'll just link to that in the video. I won't do a reaction to it. But that's going to be a long, tough road for them to get over that, because, again, we got a really good trail in the form of that Kickstream video that details exactly what Roger was planning and what he would wanted to go ahead and do. So I appreciate Sean Strickland. I just don't agree that Roger Jackson shouldn't get some type of penalty. He definitely should. He definitely should serve some time in prison. How much time? Again, that'll be a court of law to determine, but he definitely needs to go to prison for what he did to Psycho Stu. Now, let me go ahead and jump over to what Phillip Rowe. Phillip Rowe had a different take about this entire situation, because he's responding to another UFC fighter by the name of Motown Phenom, which is Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee came out with the notion that he being Rampage Jackson, should turn his son in for the crime that he committed. And it was definitely a crime. Here's Strickland in the comment section to Phillip Rowe. House arrest, anger management, fines, going to jail puts you in the system. Again, he's looking at this from the perspective of a child, of a teen. We must remember that Roger is 25 years old. He's 25 years old. He has to pay some type of penance for the crimes that he committed in that ring, and they were definitely crimes. Because I don't think I do not think that the promotion agreed to that kind of beat down, and definitely Psycho Stu didn't agree to getting beat down like that. No, what man would agree to getting beat down like that? So the system, when you're teenager, I agree, but we're talking about a grown ass man here. But again, this is Philly Fresh. Before I play his video, I want to read his first comment right here. Our judicial system is based off money. No, it ain't. It ain't based off money. Rampage is rich and famous, and his son has no criminal record. Okay, Rampage, go turn your son in. Rampage will get a fire lawyer, pay him hundreds of thousands, and his son will get probation. Now, is it okay? See, the logic for everyone that says turn him in, laugh my ass off. I'm not agreeing with what he did at all. My point is, I'm not giving my son up to the government, period. I don't agree with that take at all. I responded to him and said, nah, my son doing something like this, he going to jail and I'm taking him. This type of behavior is unacceptable. But let's go ahead and let this video play right here.
Had got knocked out in the gym or got concussed in the gym by a head kick like a few days prior, right? And on his stream a day before, 2 days before, he's talking about like how he was throwing up and how he needs to chill. And he ends up going to this event where this gentleman cracks him in the head with a beer can. And obviously he's a wrestler, so he probably understood how to do it without inflicting too much pain, but still, he was concussed that week. I think the kid is young. I think between his pops picking on him and everybody jonesing on him, he kind of was at a wit's end. And even though he knew they were all jokes, it was still feeding into him. Now, his friend, who's a pro wrestler, allowed him to go into the ring and get revenge or wrestle a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I highly doubt any of them thought that was going to happen, even though he was on his stream saying what he was going to do. So there's a couple people there at fault. I am not excusing what he did at all because he still went and did that. He still went and assaulted that man. But there is a cause and effect for everything. And if that dude didn't hit him in the head with a beer can or whatever it was, that incident would have never happened. So you have to take that into account. Now, he is going to be held accountable for what he did. So whatever the litigation process is, the guy's going to be okay. Clearly, they're going to boost it up and make it seem like, you know what I'm saying, but he's going to be fine. He got knocked out, got rocked after he was knocked out, but he will be okay. I saw Kevin Lee make a video telling Rampage to turn his son in. And that nigga is wildin' because my son, nah. My son could be on 4K, caught on 4K, 8K, 16K video. My son could be on video murking Santa Claus. I'm not turning my son, nigga. Like, you tripping? Hell no, I'm not turning my son in. And I don't care what people think. That's my son. You know what I'm saying? I got to protect him with every muscle fiber in my body to my last breath. So, like I said, man, my son could clap Santa Claus on camera. Nigga, I'm going to say it's a pagan holiday anyway. Happy Kwanzaa, nigga. Homie had got knocked out.
All that was wrong. Now you got to understand, Phillip Rowe is coming also this from a pro-black perspective. That at the end, Christmas is a pagan holiday anyway. Happy Kwanzaa. That's some pro-black bullshit. My son do something like this, I'm turning him in. I'm not hiding him because I will feel as a failure as a father, saying, "Hey, you know what?" Because I know how I raised my son. I didn't raise my son to act like this. I didn't raise my son to be disrespectful to authority. I didn't raise my son to be disrespectful to other men. I didn't raise my son to be disrespectful to the cops or anything like that. I raised my son to be respectful, mindful, humble, and to always be considerate. If my son came and did something counter to how I raised him, nah, I ain't gonna have any part of that. So no, I did not raise any criminals. I did not. I did not raise you to go in a blind rage like that. And then they're saying, well, if he murked somebody on camera, we'll take Santa Claus out because he's trying to use Santa Claus as a foil. But let's say if he murked somebody for real, you're gonna sit there and protect your son and keep him all locked up. He already said, yeah, I would do that. Well, then that makes you an accessory to a crime. Because now you're hiding the criminal to prevent him from getting arrested by the police. Now you're becoming part of that. Why would you let your son drag you down like that? So no, there's no way I'm going to sit there and allow myself to allow what I built. Avoiding all of the things out there in society to then allow my son, to allow my seed to come and drag me down. I've witnessed that shit growing up in my own house and growing up in my household growing up. My daddy kept having to put his name out so many times because I have an older brother who can't act straight. One time my daddy put the house up to bail out my brother. And I remember this clearly. And then my brother didn't show up for court. The whole entire house was up. My daddy had to go drive around to track this fool down to bring him to court. Ain't no way in the hell I'm gonna get stuck behind something like that. You're gonna go to prison behind your son who gets accused of a crime or is caught on camera in 4K, 8K, 13K, whatever. Come on, man. We got to be better men than that. And of course, like I said in my Chael Sonnen video, if you got to make a video defending your prior video, you're on the wrong foot. And here we have a follow-up video from Phillip Rowe going in further on this issue again.
I got to make a part 2 already, you guys. People in my inbox that don't have basic comprehension skills, that don't know how to read context clues. Roger Jackson, if I'm saying his name right, do I agree with what he did? No. Would I have done what he did? No. Still, I am never giving my children up to the police, ever. You better send the SWAT team if you want them, because I'm not giving them up. Does that mean they're not at fault? No. Does that mean they won't be held accountable? No. Does that mean that they cannot be wrong? No. I'm just saying I'm not giving them up, ever. I'm back to back with my kids against the world. You retarded? Hell no. That's why I'm raising formidable, comprehensive, God-fearing children that are going to be pillars in the community. They're going to be Olympians. They're going to be whatever they want to be. My kids are already amazing. But back to Raja. You cannot be mad at somebody for the lengths they will go if they feel disrespected. If I step on somebody's sneakers and he shoots bullets at me, that is extreme. But I cannot be mad at the length someone would go if they're disrespected. If I spit on somebody and they decide to stab me in my neck, that is extreme, yes. But you cannot be mad at the length someone will go if they feel disrespected. That's why you have to treat everybody with respect. That's why you have to treat everybody as you want to be treated. It's that simple. I'm not agreeing with what he did. I'm just saying there's cause and effect. Point blank, period. Use your brains, people. I got to make a part.
The thing is, people are using their brains, my brother. And what you just said, it would hold water if Roger Jackson attacked Psycho Stu at the point of when he got the can cracked against his head. You can't sit there and say that now 3 hours later, oh, now you can go ahead and feel like you've been disrespected. The thing is Roger Jackson accepted the apology from Psycho Stu, but then he got online, let his chat talk him up, and then let his daddy talk him up. And they were the ones that disrespected him. Psycho Stu just happened to be the vessel with which all that rage and anger was taken out upon. The disrespect was not from Psycho Stu. Psycho Stu actually gave him insurmountable amounts of respect by apologizing to him. It was Rampage and Roger's chat that disrespected him. So you got that part all wrong and everything. And I like how you talk about holding your kids accountable, but you're not going to be holding your kids accountable if you keep on protecting them. You better swing the SWAT team. Like, why? Why? So you could die along with your kids? Come on, man. You got to be better than that. If you're raising really good kids and everything like that, you got to set a better example. That's not a good example to set right there, where you're going to sit there and say, you know what? I'm going to go to war along with my kids. What about your wife? What about your wife? Would you want your wife to do the same thing? You're supposed to be there for your wife, not your kids, really. You married your wife. We all love our kids, but we still got to have our main responsibility is to the one that we've said, I do to. But so yeah, this video was a little better than the last one, but again, falls off the ledge and everything like that. I'm talking about, men that get offended by a whole bunch of things, they need to work on themselves. Now, I agree with him about showing respect to others and so that you can get that respect in return. I don't purposely go out and disrespect anybody. I treat everybody as though they're all well-trained or they're armed to the teeth with something. So that keeps me in check. I'm not saying that anybody else has to be like that, but that personally keeps me in check. I don't agree with the not holding your kids accountable by protecting them from the police. The way that you get them held accountable is by turning them into the police to say, hey, I didn't raise you this way. Now you have to pay for that with the police. Mount a good defense for them. But you got to go with the cops and you got to serve that time, that initial time for the actions that you did. But those are my thoughts. I will leave a link to Phillip Rowe's page, Philly Fresh UFC. I'll also leave a link to Sean Strickland MMA. They're both on Instagram. I don't follow them on Twitter/X or anything like that, but I do follow them both on Instagram. They're both good guys. They both have really good content. And by the way, Phillip Rowe, really good jiu-jitsu practitioner. This motherfucker be making people pay. Man, I tell you, I wouldn't mind getting in a row. He'll smash me. Man, I tell you one thing. These small motherfuckers that be rolling in jiu-jitsu, I'm bigger. I already could tell. I'm bigger than him. He's probably taller than me, but I'm bigger than him. These small motherfuckers that be rolling in jiu-jitsu, they some of the toughest motherfuckers you can go up against. But I'll leave it at that. Jump down in the comments and let me know what you guys think about this. And make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. This is Chris Bo signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video.